Just doing a little bit of cardio. I'm actually watching a little bit of TV, so trying to multitask, do a little bit of cardio, stream, um, and answer a couple of questions. Um, these are the questions that I've sort of read somewhere, or questions that I get randomly at the gym, in and around training and nutrition, all those kind of things. I think one of the most popular questions that I've gotten recently, or the one that's sort of in my mind, has been what you call it, a frequently asked question: is cardio before or after your weight training? And my answer to this question, I believe it has stayed the same, has not changed, regardless on when perhaps I was asked this question. But I believe it has not changed. If it has changed, well, you need to sort of, what's the phrase? Bring me to book, or tell me that there's a lack of consistency on my side. Just trying to pause out of motion. But the answer to that question, to cardio before or after training, it sort of varies between how far, or in your training journey, where are you at? Are you a new lifter or an advanced lifter? Let me explain. For a person who's been training for a long time, and then who has built enough muscle, or they've enough muscle, they're no longer trying to build any new muscle, they can afford to do cardio before their weight session, because they've built enough muscle. They're no longer trying to build any more muscle. But if you're a new lifter and trying to build muscle, I believe you have no business doing cardio before your weight session, because you, as a new lifter, you need all of the energy, you need all of the energy, basically. You need all of the energy to invest it into the weight session for you to give maximum effort on the weight session. As if you do cardio, you will be using some of that energy in your cardio session, meaning now that when you get to the weight session from the cardio, you won't be able to give 100% to your weight session. So basically, as a new lifter at the gym, you have no business doing cardio before your weight session, because you want to get into your weight session with maximum strength, maximum energy, which you will not be able to do if you do your cardio before your weight session. You can do it after, where you've depleted all of your energy in the cardio session, and then you can just let your mind be the one that sort of pulls you through or get you to complete your cardio session. But all in all, as I said, I'm doing a little bit of cardio on my side and answering a few questions. If anyone has any questions, you can just drop them in the chat. But the first question that I was thinking about, or that has been sort of on my mind, that I've been asked quite a lot recently, is that cardio before or after your weight session? Short answer, as an advanced, as somebody who's been at the gym for some time, or as an advanced weightlifter, or an advanced gym goer who's built a decent amount of muscle, you can get away with doing cardio before, because most of the time you're no longer trying to build any new muscle, you're just trying to maintain. But as a new lifter, you have no business doing cardio before your weight session, because you need maximum of your energy. You need to invest it towards the weight session, because you're a new gym goer, you are trying to build new muscle, you're trying to build muscle from the bottom. So that is, conclusion to that. Advanced lifter, you can sort of do as you want, but as a beginner, don't do it. Don't do cardio before your weight session. So that is the question around cardio before or after the weight session. Another question that I sort of been asked a lot recently is, you trying to get maximum amount of protein per day. Is there any tips that I have around that? With that, I would suggest that you start early, meaning that you start eating early, because your goal is, for example, you're trying to get maybe 180 grams of protein per day, or you're trying to get, anything more than 150 grams of protein per day. Maybe trying to get 200 grams of protein, 150, whatever the case is. But one of the tips that I would give, one of the main tips is, you start eating early. Your breakfast, if you're trying to get, let's say you're trying to get 200 grams of protein per day, your breakfast should be at least 50 grams of protein. And then you can do that with this. This is how you would, if I was at the situation where I'm trying to gain weight. Just a side note that before I embarked on, this fitness journey, I used to weigh 60 kilograms. And at my heaviest, I was 150 kilograms. And one of the things that I did was that you start eating early, and breakfast protein packed. You can get between 40 and 50 grams of protein from your breakfast just by having your oats. About 100 grams of oats, you can get about 10 grams of protein from there, just the oats itself. And then you can add a scoop of protein in your oat, or two. An average amount of servings of protein, you can get about 20 grams of protein per serving. So that's already 30 grams on just the oats itself, so 30 grams. And then the other 20, you can get it, from your eggs. You can include eggs in there. You can have about 4 to 6 eggs, and then you're good to go. That's another between 15 and 20 grams of protein. And then you can also, if you're still short on your oats, you can add a spoon of peanut butter. That's another 5 grams, give or take, of protein. So with just that, bowl of oats, scoop of protein, teaspoon of peanut butter, 4 to 6 eggs, boom, that's it, 50 grams of protein, or at least it will get you around maybe 40 to 50, but not less than 35. Maybe it may happen that maybe you don't really like eggs that much, whatever the case is, but with that, it should set up your day. You start your day in a high note when it comes to your protein. Got a couple of comments here on Facebook. Toasty said, steroids. I think Toasty is asking if I've used steroid before, if I've experienced. I used to, I'm not retired, but I haven't done it in a long time, but I've competed before. So when you're trying to compete, you, depending on which level. So I've used, around competing. I always say, or I believe that you have no reason to use enhancements just for the purpose of looking good, unless it was recommended by your doctor, or there's health reasons why you're using it. But just to look good in a t-shirt and all of that, you have no reason to do that. So when I was competing, I used them, and then if it happens I compete again in future, I'll most likely use them. Thank you, Atosti, for that question. Thank you for watching. If you're a new viewer, I would appreciate if you can subscribe if you can. Thank you so much. I have more comments from Facebook. Oh, it's still others. Goodwin. Hey, hope you're doing well. God's will. Thank you for watching. If you're a new subscriber, I'd appreciate if you can subscribe. If you're returning, thank you so much for returning. Oh yeah, Toasty is still on the chat. Toasty says 4 eggs with a side of steroids. As I said already, addressed the steroids part of that comment. But as I said, for breakfast, let's say, as I said, you're trying to get as high as 50 grams of protein per day, and you start on a high note. High note, I'm using it loosely, but to start off, high amount protein in your oats, 100 grams of oats, 4 eggs. With there you can get a minimum of 35 to 50 grams of protein, depending how much eggs you eat, how much protein you add into your oats, how much oats you're having in your bowl, how much peanut butter you're adding into your bowl. So with that breakfast, a breakfast idea to get to maximum amount of protein per day. Okay, my dude Toasty says, brother, groceries are expensive. How do you afford this? Yes. Groceries are definitely expensive. And as I said, that is when I was trying to, as I said, currently I weigh about 80 kilograms. But at some point, I weighed 60 kilograms, and at my heaviest, I was 115 kilograms. And then this is how I ate back then. And on the side of groceries being expensive, oh, definitely. Currently, that is not how I eat, because at the moment, I am not trying to gain any new muscle. I am not trying to bulk or anything like that. So, unfortunately, if when I ate the way that kind of breakfast, I was unmarried. I didn't have much expenses. I only had to worry about myself. So if you're a family man, or if you have a lot of responsibilities financially, it will really be challenging for you to eat in that way, or to eat to try and gain muscle. What perhaps maybe I would suggest is that maybe you need to cut off some of the expenses, but each situation, it's sort of different. So you cannot really say that you need to cut that, or leave that in your budget, all of that. But unfortunately, reality is that if you're a family man, it's without any assistance from maybe an additional income or sort of sponsorship, it will really be challenging for you to eat in that way. It will really be challenging, because as I said, when I did that, I was employed, my rent was affordable, gym membership was affordable. I sent money to my mother, here and there, but there was no spouse, there was no children, there was no expensive, or there was no monthly, what do you call it, other than the rent. There was nothing else I was paying for monthly. So definitely, unfortunately, it will definitely be very hard for you to eat that way if you're a family man with responsibilities, bond, car, credit cards, and all those kind of things. So maybe I should have said that advice is for someone who's single and is employed. Toasty eggs are expensive. Oh, definitely very expensive, unfortunately. But the tip that I can give when it comes to eggs, depending where you are, but I think in every city you'll find this. When I was trying to bulk up, trying to gain some weight, I bought eggs from the wholesalers, or they call it cash and carry this side. So I bought eggs where the shops buy their eggs. You buy a box, you get it. When you're doing the calculation, like if you're buying like 6 eggs at the store, or at the the corner store, perhaps the corner store, if you calculate, maybe the egg will be, let's say, 5 rand, South African rands. But now when you buy the big box at the cash and carry or the suppliers, when you calculate, it sort of ends up and like paying like maybe 2 rand or 150 per egg. So that one of the tips that I could give, that don't buy your eggs in the supermarket if the eggs will be like your main protein source, which I will definitely recommend, because eggs, it's what do you call it? Is it powerhouse? Is that the name? It's a superfood. Yes, egg and superfood. So currently, protein is, eggs, it's my main protein because it's affordable, it's easy to make. Egg fried rice, boiled eggs. You can throw your eggs in a blender with your protein shake, make pancakes. There's a lot of stuff you can, do with the eggs. So that would be my suggestion, is that with the egg, try to buy them at, the wholesaler or the place where supplies the egg. It's definitely cheaper there, and you buy it in bulk. Toasty says, respect you for your honesty. Thank you, Toasty. Thank you so much for those kind words. As I said, if you're a new viewer, kindly subscribe if you can. If you're returning, thank you so much for returning. For any questions, any comments, you can pop them in the chat. So that is that. Oh no, but I don't think the question, the answer is not complete yet. Okay, so that is for your breakfast. You try and your oats with some protein, some peanut butter, your eggs, and then you start your day with high amount of protein. And then throughout the day, you can just do some chicken, some rice, and some veggies. And then if you can average about 30 grams of protein per meal, and then you should be able to get plus 150 by the end of the day. So you try in the morning with the oats and the eggs and the protein shake, get about 40, and then that is maybe at, let's say, 8 o'clock, and at 10 o'clock, maybe 12 o'clock, maybe 4 o'clock, and then also maybe 7 o'clock. If you can get 30 grams of protein, each of those meals 90 grams, plus that 40, that's 130 grams, then you get another 30 grams as supper, or at least protein after gym, about 20 or 25 or 30, then that's over 150 grams of protein per day. But definitely, as Toast has reminded me, that obviously this will vary from person to person. They need to take into account your personal circumstances financially, because for that, financially, it will definitely, because when I was trying to gain weight, I believe that I ate groceries for a small family, definitely, because you need to be constantly eating, unfortunately, and it must be quality food, high protein, high, quality fat, and all those kind of things. So that is just that on any tips on how you could try and get maximum amount of protein per day. Robert Mazibo is on the chat. What is good, my good guy? Hope you're doing very well. Robert asks, are you one of those unusually big guys who play for the other team? I think, if I'm guessing this correctly, but Mr. Mazibo can definitely correct me on the chat. I think I'm above average when it comes to size-wise, but playing for the other team, that is a no. No offense to anybody who plays for the other team. I'm thinking a man who's into other men, but Mr. Mazubo can correct me on the chat if I'm interpreting his statement. But I'm not playing for the other team, so I don't like men, I like women, and I believe I'm slightly above average when it comes to muscle mass. Obviously, I go to the gym and then I eat as clean as I can. Mr. Mazubogo, if you're a new viewer, thank you so much. I'd appreciate if you can subscribe and do all the nice things. If you're returning, thank you so much for returning. I appreciate you. Oh, Mr. Mazubo, or Robert Mazubo says, your hands are saying you are not who you say you are. Okay, I don't know what my hands are saying, but that's who I believe I am. So yeah, I don't know what else to say, Mr. Masibo, but that's who I am. Yeah, I don't play for the other team. Yeah, if there's any other questions specifically, you can definitely welcome to pop them in the chat. Pop it in the chat. I don't know why I'm saying pop it in the chest. Pop it in the chat, Mr. Mazibogo. Definitely open to answer any questions you may have. I would say if I don't want to answer anything, whatever the case is, but you can just pop any questions in the chat. Robert Masbo says, "Great man, I like your hips. I will be." Oh, he said he likes my tips. I don't know why I say hips. If he likes the tips, we'll be following. Thank you so much. Messi Mazubugo. I'm thinking we're a mistake because it's Robert. Thank you so much for that. As I said, for any comment, pop them in the chat, and I appreciate if you can definitely subscribe. And yeah, so basically that was the one question, or the second question that I wanted to answer. And I think the third one before I log off it, how long should your session at the gym be? I believe if you're training by yourself and the gym is empty, I believe 45 minutes it's more than enough. Even 30, but let's say 45 minutes is enough for a session. And I need to clarify that in that scenario, you're training by yourself, the gym is empty, the equipment that you need are there, you don't need to look for equipment, and you don't need to improvise. And the energy on your side is high. So you're coming there with intent to have, an amazing session. So those three things, I think it will be there. Like for you to have a successful session for 30 to 40 minutes, I believe your gym must be empty, you must be training by yourself, energy must be high. With those three conditions in place, you can have a successful session by yourself. But if your gym is full, you're training with somebody, and maybe it's a Thursday, you've been training since Monday, just came from your office job, you didn't take any pre-workout or anything to give you extra energy, I can give you an hour and a half to about 2 hours. But more than 2 hours, even if you're training with someone else, I do not believe that there is any benefit that you'll be getting from a gym session or a weight session that is more than 2 hours. I don't believe there's any. Maybe you can definitely can prove that you are tough, you have endurance, but when it's come to building muscle, after 2 hours, I believe no longer building any muscle. You're just showing that you are tough, you are mentally strong, you can, it's like you're showing that you got that, David Goggin mentality. But when it's come to building muscle, I do not believe you'll be building muscle in a session that is more than 2 hours long. Unless you are resting for 3 minutes in between the set. So meaning now that the actual training itself it's less than 2 hours. But even at that, you're wasting your time, I believe. Like, I believe at the gym, your rest 30 seconds to 45 seconds, because you're trying to sort of keep the muscle warm. You don't want to, you go for a session now, the muscle is warm. Now you rest for 2 minutes. Now you cold again. Now you're warming it up. You try to keep it warm and then keep it there at the temperature where it's getting maximum stress, because you need to now remember that how you build muscle is that you break it down at the gym by putting it under stress. So meaning now that heavy weight, intensity, you break it down and then you go home and recover. And then what happens is that during the recovery, you're feeding the muscle, and the muscle is like, that's how I explain it. The muscle is like, hey, that weight was heavy. So now let's try to recover, and let's be stronger, and let's be bigger. So when that happens, we are ready. Because you need to remember now that your body will do everything to protect itself. So when you're at the gym lifting heavy weight, your body takes that as something that it needs to protect you against. So now after that session, your body, when you go home, you recover. When you're drinking your supplements and everything, your body will be saying, that was stressful, we don't want that. So what do is that we recover, we get big, we get stronger. That's how we build muscle. And then we go back to the gym again, we add more weight, and the body says, hey, more stress, let's get bigger again to protect the body. That's how we build muscle. So you need to keep the stress on the muscle at its highest at the gym, meaning now that the shorter the workout, the higher the intensity, the better. I think that is that for now. Thank you for those who are watching. Kind of subscribe, do all the nice things. If you're watching this stream after some time, you have posted it. If you have any question, please pop them in the chat. It's been 30 minutes, and then I do this regularly, so definitely gonna see me soon. We're gonna see that I'm live very soon. Thank you so much.